Hey, what's up everybody? It's the Crypto Ginger here. Just wanted to take a quick moment and go over some of the more recent news. And of course, guys, I will say that there's always an abundant amount of news happening every single day. It makes sense. Obviously, we're in Q4 of 2019. Things are ramping up for the end of this year. And of course, we heard a lot of anticipation for things that are going to be taking place in 2020. So again, it makes sense we're hearing a lot of this news. We're also seeing a lot of people from the fintech companies such as Ripple making more public appearances, if you will, different types of interviews. For example, the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, he just recently did an interview with Anthony Pompliano, one of the biggest Bitcoin maximalists on Twitter. And of course, he's also someone who's made himself apparent when it comes to doing interviews with, for example, CNBC's Squawk Box, talking more about Bitcoin and why people should focus their attention on that cryptocurrency. So again, a lot of people coming together, doing interviews or making themselves more public. It's very amazing to see this take place here because, again, we're seeing a lot of things ramping up going into 2020. So a lot of anticipation for what this cryptocurrency space can do. And of course, a lot of people explaining what they think is going to happen with this space merging into your old standard fiat currency method of, transferring money back and forth with different types of banks. Well, all of that's going to change from my understanding of how this fintech world is, this cryptocurrency ecosystem. When it merges into your old standard fiat system, everything's going to change. The entire dynamics will change. And I think that right there will be the very beginning stages of how we're going to receive information and how fast we can actually get that information to us back and forth. Because again, companies like Ripple focusing on the internet of value and understanding that right there is a very crucial element when it comes to transferring information back and forth. You definitely have to incorporate the idea of transferring value back and forth. And that's going to be very pertinent when it comes to these countries that are looking to have some sort of cashless society when it comes to them creating either their own cryptocurrency for their nation or actually utilizing some other cryptocurrency from maybe even a central bank, if you will. And of course, there's a lot of central banks that are getting themselves immersed in this cryptocurrency space as well. So again, it's a lot of things to keep up with, guys. And I apologize for the beginning of this video here, kind of throwing all that information out to you, but you have to keep your eyes and ears open for this information because it is happening every single day. So it's hard to keep up with all that information, but nonetheless, some of the things I want to talk about here are just kind of key highlights of some of the news that we actually went over. And of course, a strong focus on Ripple, the company as well. But before I jump into that news, guys, a quick look at CoinMarketCap. Of course, I understand this is not the most favorite site when it comes to checking your prices of cryptocurrencies, but what I do like about it is that you can actually get a quick visual with the graph on the right-hand side of all your cryptocurrencies here on this page. And it kind of illustrates to you what's happening on a larger scale there. Basically, you can compare and contrast different types of cryptocurrencies with others and get a visual, again, a quick visual as to what's happening there. I like to compare, for example, all of your mineable coins, your proof of work coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, all those coins that require a mining process. I like to compare those to proof of concept coins such as XRP. And of course, we already know XRP is the third best cryptocurrency on the market. So it's very easy to compare that coin with other cryptocurrencies up there. As you can see, guys, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, they're all kind of trailing in a very similar direction earlier in the week. They recently just spiked up. But XRP has had what looks to be a small bit of an incline for almost the entire week. It's just recently, within I would say the last 2 to 3 days, we saw a really nice little spike going from a 25-cent XRP all the way up to where we're at now, 28 cents. So it is most certainly making some grounds there when it comes to increasing its price point. My guess is that a lot of that is just simply based off of the news we've been hearing from Ripple and, of course, different types of partnerships happening between Ripple and other companies. We'll kind of get into that as well. There's one in particular that I think is pretty big outside of all the other news we've heard in the past. But nonetheless, outside of the interviews that we've heard from, for example, Brad Garlinghouse, and, of course, again, the partnerships, we're only going to see a lot more expansion taking place when it comes to this cryptocurrency ecosystem and companies that are very important in this ecosystem, such as Ripple. Ripple. So something to take here with a grain of salt, guys. Again, I just want to kind of give you a quick visual as to what's happening for a lot of the cryptocurrencies here, especially with the weekly there. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that, again, we're seeing a lot more news and announcements happening. It is Q4 of the 2019 leading into 2020. So my guess is we're going to see a little bit more ramping up of prices in the cryptocurrency market. Maybe we might even see some cryptocurrencies dropping off the map there, because that's something we have been forewarned about. But nonetheless, guys, a lot of activities happening here, and I want to just jump right into some of those news here as well. So just recently we got reference of Brad Garlinghouse doing yet another interview. This one is actually with Fortune magazine. Now, before I go any further, I will say that if you are unaware, Brad Garlinghouse, being the CEO of Ripple, he just recently did an interview with Anthony Pompliano. That is a very big name when it comes to those who are Bitcoin maximalists. He is most certainly someone who stands behind Bitcoin as his primary cryptocurrency. So again, Anthony Pompliano, a big prominent name for the Bitcoin maximalist side of things. He's also been on Squawk Box, CNBC, to talk more about Bitcoin and investing in that. So again, you can see that he has a very strong focus on Bitcoin versus that of Brad Garlinghouse, which is a very strong focus on XRP because of his company Ripple. So that interview took place last week. We should be seeing something about that hopefully today, as a matter of fact. But nonetheless, interviews are happening with Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, on a regular basis. And again, we just got reference. He did one with Fortune magazine to talk about why XRP is not a security. Now, of course, to me, when I hear this topic, it becomes rather redundant because we've heard about this. We all understand why XRP is not a security, at least from the standpoint of those in the XRP community. If you study XRP, you study Ripple, you definitely understand the principles behind why it would not be considered a security. But it's always, something that we need to hear when it comes to Brad Garlinghouse, going out and explaining these things on a regular basis here. And one of the examples he gave here was very interesting when it comes to this particular interview. Again, this is something actually an article from fortune.com, but he specifies that we're interested in the success of XRP Ledger. We own a lot of XRP. It's like how Exxon owns a lot of oil. That doesn't make oil a security. Oil is classified as a commodity. So he's giving an example in regards to Ripple holding XRP versus that of Exxon holding a lot of oil. So I'm hoping that, that particular example there really kind of helps illustrate the difference between XRP and, of course, Ripple the company. And, of course, understanding, yes, Ripple does have a lot of XRP, but they don't own every bit of the XRP, and it's basically something as, in relationship to oil. It is a commodity. It is something that is actually spread out to those who actually need that particular product. And interesting enough, outside of the fact that we've been hearing Brad Garlinghouse speak in regards to the progress and the growth of Ripple, the company, and XRP, and the fact that it's not a security, we are definitely hearing a little bit more on the opinion of Brad Garlinghouse and what's happening with the cryptocurrency space and the growth or the lack thereof. And of course, a recent interview he spoke in regards to Facebook's inability to launch their Libra stablecoin even by 2022. And of course, he gives reasons why. One of the primary reasons, I think, is something that we all have heard and have been letting on about. For one, the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Senate, the U.S. President, and of course many main prominent figures in banking and financial institutions across the globe have expressed their disdain for Facebook even trying to create a stablecoin because of the fear that it could actually compete with central banks across the globe. Now we're actually hearing again from Brad Garlinghouse that he feels that those regulatory headwinds, if you will, that Facebook is facing are so substantial, again, that by 2022, we might not even see Libra's stablecoin launch. So a very big takeaway there. And of course, another thing we just heard is that PayPal, one of the first backers of this cryptocurrency project for Facebook, has actually jumped ship. They're no longer participating in this project. So when you have a company like PayPal jumping ship from this kind of project, that says a lot, which also means that we might see other big name companies that are part of this project jumping ship just as well and no longer being part of that project. And if any of these companies here want to get themselves immersed into the cryptocurrency space, and they are looking for a substantial company to do so and help them out with that, they might look at companies such as Ripple. I mean, again, we got reference from Ripple when they partnered up with MoneyGram, which was right around the same time we started hearing a lot more about Facebook's stablecoin. Brad Garlinghouse attributed a lot of their contracts being signed around that same time to Facebook coming out stating they wanted to create their stablecoin, putting a little bit of fear in a lot of people. So again, Brad Garlinghouse stated they created a lot of contracts around the time they signed MoneyGram up as a partner, just simply because of Facebook announcing they wanted to have their stablecoin. So who knows, this could be absolutely, pertinent for a company like Ripple. And of course, again, the fact that Brad Garlinghouse, who I would imagine knows quite a bit of what's happening in the ecosystem, stating that even by 2022, we might not even see a Libra stablecoin in existence. That says a lot there, guys. So you have to let me know what you guys think about this information here, but I think that he is onto something when it comes to what he knows. And of course, maybe even his opinions have a lot of bearing to take in consideration when it comes to whether or not Facebook could actually launch their stablecoin. So again, let me know what you guys think about this information. One last thing I want to quickly go over. Now, I feel like this last article is very fitting since we've been talking about the fact that, Ripple's coming out in the limelight quite often now, talking about different types of partnerships and their growth and their progress. And we just got reference that they had a partnership with a company called FINASTRA, who now has a new partnership with Samsung Pay. So a full-on partner of Ripple called FINASTRA signed a cross-border payments partnership with Samsung Pay. And of course, in this article right here, it just kind of expresses how big this is. This new service will offer seamless and secure cross-border payments to 47 countries using different payout methods. This is according to a recent announcement made by the companies here. So again, the idea that we have what looks to be a partner already created with Ripple that's partnering with Samsung Pay and working with 47 different countries for payout methods is absolutely huge. This right here, guys, is part of the mass adoption that we've all been talking about when it comes to this cryptocurrency ecosystem. And personally, I feel like Ripple is one of those primary companies that's at the forefront of all of this. They're so innovative with their technology and what they're trying to do to create mass adoption. And now we are seeing partnership after partnership taking place, whether they're directly linked to Ripple or whether they're partnered up with a company that's partnered up with Ripple. Again, Ripple has their hand in this big cookie jar, and they are just simply reaching out to as many people as they possibly can and creating this expansion on a global scale. So again, a very big move when it comes to Ripple here. And of course, their partner FINASTRA starting now this cross-border payments partnership with Samsung Pay. Absolutely huge. 47 countries, guys. That's absolutely amazing there, that now can actually take advantage of this payout method. So, and lastly, XRP Crypto Wolf sent me information here regarding Ripple and a new partnership that took place with a company called FINASTRA FS. This partnership was made through RippleNet. And of course, as XRP Crypto Wolf always does, he likes to put a nice little summary as to what's taking place here. We can see that FINASTRA's banking customers currently process millions of transactions each month. Also, FINASTRA will also have the option of using on-demand liquidity, which uses XRP for cross-border payments. We've definitely been talking a little bit more about on-demand liquidity. That is the combination of Xcurrent, XRapid, and XVIA, those particular protocols that Ripple created as a separate type of platform. They're all combined now basically to be called on-demand liquidity, and again, it will be utilizing and leveraging XRP for cross-border payments. So a very big move with this partnership. Now, before we go too much further here, I want to say that this right here being a new type of announcement isn't necessarily that new. I do want to give the credit to XRP Crypto Wolf for kind of posting this information because Ripple did make this announcement. But within the XRP community, there are a lot of those who actually do some deep dive researches. And of course, I heard at the very beginning of this year the connection between FINASTRA and Ripple because of a group of people that I've been following for quite some time, and I have to give them credit for this because, again, they were doing these deep dive searches way early on. As a matter of fact, there were a couple of people I liked following way earlier on when I first started onto crypto Twitter, looking for people in the XRP community. And these were people that would do a lot of deep dive researches when it comes to connecting dots that might not have been exposed or at least publicly announced. But they were definitely doing some deep dive research, connecting the dots when it comes to companies that were affiliated with Ripple. And as far back as January of this year, so almost the beginning of this year here, we had XRP Nuts right alongside of others. For example, I Am Legion, who are again connecting the dots here with FINASTRA. And so again, at the very beginning of the year, I had reference of FINASTRA linking itself in some form or fashion with RippleNet. Here we have a little bit of connections when it comes to FINASTRA. These are screenshots basically taken earlier on to kind of explain FINASTRA and of course their product layouts and how they're connecting to other banks such as Bank of America, Bank of China, Bank of New York, Deutsche Bank, National Australia Bank. So these are names we've definitely heard in this space, and of course some of them have actually been connected directly to Ripple and RippleNet as well. And of course again, these are just screenshots talking a little bit more in depthly about FINASTRA as far back as January of this year. Of course, something very interesting here is a connection being made between FINASTRA and a company called Synchron, which really kind of helps deliver different types of banking solutions via FINASTRA and other companies to help connect these banks and companies such as FINASTRA and RippleNet together. And Synchron just simply happened to be running on Ripple when it comes to that kind of connection, that link. So you can see even as far back as January, we had links between different companies all connected to Ripple or RippleNet. And again, I have to give credit to these guys here because XRP Nuts, I Am Legion, Jussie C, Dallas 559000503. I mean, guys, these are people that I've been following for quite some time that do their own little deep dive researches. And of course, we even had a very prominent name in the XRP community, Garlinghouse, kind of coming in, giving his or her 2 cents worth. One of the things that was interesting when it comes to this information is that anytime a connection was made between a company being affiliated with Ripple, the main question was, are they using XRP? Are they using XRP? And of course, that was one of the things being alluded to with this conversation between those who were doing the deep dive researches and people like Galgatron. Well, we definitely have heard that Swift was one of those companies that had some sort of affiliation with Ripple. Of course, they linked together with R3. We also understand that R3 and Ripple have connected together because of the fact that they created the Quarter Settler, which utilizes settlement mechanisms such as XRP. It's not the only one that can actually be utilized when it comes to currencies and being able to transfer payments. But guys, we're seeing connections being made on a regular basis here. And again, as early as January of 2019. And now we're getting this information here, like I said, with that announcement between FINASTRA and Ripple. So, guys, when it comes to the XRP community, there are a lot of those who do deep dive researches very early on. They're making connections happening every single time when it comes to, seeing this information there, putting the information together, seeing the bigger picture. And I think that that's the biggest thing I've gathered from all of this, is that there is most certainly a bigger picture with everything being combined. So again, I have to give a lot of props, and of course thanks to XRP Nuts, I Am Legion, Jussie C, and Dallas for actually alluding to everybody in the XRP community that wanted to know this about this kind of partnership between Ripple and all these other companies way before we're getting the announcements. So if you want to find some little deep dive researches like this right here, you definitely find those people in the XRP community that you can actually link up to and have, that kind of information thrown at you every single day. It's a lot to take in for sure, but it's very intriguing and it keeps you ahead of the game. And that's the reason why I've been pursuing this as much as I have, because I've been seeing these combinations of different types of connecting of dots and, linking companies together that might not be heavily exploited to the public. And of course, again, when you see Ripple make those kind of announcements when it's time, it just kind of solidifies what you were looking into and solidifies that feeling that you were one of those early adopters in cryptocurrencies, and especially in XRP, because you knew about this information way ahead of time. So again, I hate to ramble on. I apologize for that, guys. I just want to give a huge shout out to all of these people that connect the dots, much better than I have. And of course, we're seeing this bigger picture here really kind of manifesting itself out there to the public. And it's only going to get bigger, guys. Let me know what you think about all this information, guys. Again, I apologize for rambling the way I did, but The dots are there. All we got to do is just connect them now. Outside of that, thanks again for watching, guys. If you're new to this channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. And of course, share this content with as many people as you can. Outside of that, hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.